Okay, guys, here we are with Chapter 15, Circulation and Blood Vessels, otherwise known as the circulatory system. I think you guys are going to find that this chapter is a little easier than the last chapter because you're going to be more familiar with what we're talking about. So let's start with the major circulatory system. So we have the cardiopulmonary system, which is heart and lungs. So cardiopulmonary circulation is heart and lungs, and systemic circulation is your heart and your body. Okay. There are specialized routes within systemic circulation. So inside systemic circulation, there's coronary circulation, which is blood to the myocardium. Okay. It feeds the myocardium. And portal circulation, which is blood from organs of digestion to the liver via the portal vein. And then there's fetal circulation, which pregnant women have when they carry unborn babies. They have fetal circulation. It's very different from babies outside the body. So we'll be going through that too. Okay, let's look at cardiopulmonary circulation, which we have already done. Okay, so you guys know the route, right? The deoxygenated blood comes back to the right side of the heart. The right ventricle pumps that blood to the lungs to pick up oxygen and get rid of carbon dioxide. So when you get into the lungs, there's pulmonary arteries that branch into small arteries called arterioles, and then those connect to dense beds of capillaries. Capillaries is where diffusion takes place. So you guys know diffusion is movement from an area of high concentration to an area of low concentration. Well, when blood gets to the lungs, there's a high concentration of oxygen inside the alveoli sac. So it wants to move to the blood. And there's a high concentration of carbon dioxide in the blood, not found in the alveoli, so it wants to move into the alveoli. Once that oxygen moves into the blood, it combines with hemoglobin, which is found on red blood cells. And that's what carries your oxygen to all the parts of your body. Now, from the capillaries, there's venules. Okay, so the arterioles and the venules meet. And you have right and left venules, which combine into veins. They become veins. And they become the pulmonary veins, and that brings the oxygenated blood back to the left atrium. Okay. So systemic circulation is general circulation. So general circulation circulates nutrients, oxygen, water, and secretions to the tissues and back to the heart. It carries products like carbon dioxide and other dissolved wastes away from the tissue, all kinds of stuff, nitrogen, whatever. And it helps equalize body temperature. It really helps equalize body temperature. And if you notice, sometimes when you're super, super cold, your hands will turn white because your blood is retreating into the body to get warm. It needs to stay warm so it can keep your core warm. It also aids in protecting the body from harmful bacteria. Our immune system is found in our blood, and it's what helps us travel. It's what brings white blood cells to all over our body to fight bacteria. Okay, so let's look at systemic circulation. So first of all, we have the largest artery in the body, that's the aorta. Its first branch is the coronary artery, and that supplies the blood to the myocardium. So the left ventricle pumps that blood through the aortic semilunar valve into the aorta, and the first to branch off are the coronary arteries. There's right and left coronary arteries, and they split. Then it goes the ascending aortic arch. Remember, the aortic arch goes up and then down. And there's three branches from this arch. There's the brachiocephalic, which is the right subclavian, feeds the right subclavian of your arm and the right common carotid of your brain. The common carotid, which is the left common carotid to go to your brain, and the left subclavian artery. So the brachiocephalic on the right side is combined. It provides blood to the arm and your brain, and the left side is separate. There's the common carotid, which brings blood to your brain, and the left subclavian artery, which brings blood to your arm. It carries blood to your arms, your neck, and your head. All three of those things, they feed your arms, your neck, and your head. The descending aorta, that's once you go over the top of that arch, it goes through your thorax and your abdomen. So you're carrying oxygenated blood to the body. And these branches to the body wall, stomach, intestine, liver, pancreas, spleen, kidneys, reproductive system, urinary bladder, legs, and so forth. All of these arteries branch off of that descending artery, that descending aorta. And then they further subdivide into arteries and then arterioles to capillaries for diffusion. Same thing, picks up carbon dioxide, drops off oxygen. It also picks up nitrogenous wastes and other wastes, and it also transports hormones and nutrients. Okay, so your blood is circulating through your body all the time. It returns blood to the venules, to the veins, to the vena cava, to the heart. And that's how the vena cava dumps into the right? It brings all that deoxygenated blood back to the right side of the heart, which is then pumped to the lungs and starts all over again. Now, if you look at coronary circulation, you can see that there's a right carotid artery here and right cardiac artery here and a left cardiac artery here. Those right and left arteries turn into arterioles, and then very little tiny vessels, to capillaries, and those branches encircle the heart muscle, and tiny branches going to all parts of the heart and turn into capillaries for exchange of the same thing that everybody else needs: nutrients, oxygen, removing waste, so on and so on. That blood returns to the cardiac veins, and those veins go to the posterior coronary sinus. So that posterior coronary sinus we've already talked about in the last chapter. It is basically a sinus or a hole in the back of the back side of the heart, the posterior side of the heart, in the right atrium. And that's where deoxygenated blood from the heart goes. Okay? So as blood goes into your aorta, it branches into the right and left coronary arteries. Those arteries go into a network of arterioles and capillaries that make a net over your heart. The heart is fed with oxygen, nutrients, and all of the other stuff that everybody needs. And then those venules turn into the capillaries, feed the venules, which turn into veins, and the veins dump into the posterior coronary sinus in the back of the heart. Okay, I'm going to stop there because I don't want to go too long. So we're going to come back and we're going to be doing portal circulation and fetal circulation. Okay?